So welcome back again. I think there are even more participants now than before. My name is Anastasiia Manuliak, and I am heading the unit of visual arts in Ukrainian Institute, and I am responsible manager not only for this project, but also for the project on development decolonization guide that we are going to discuss shortly with my colleagues that will join online. Could you please show the screen properly while they are joining? So they are already there. Yeah, perfect. I feel a bit uncomfortable that I cannot see them. So Lucy, Kristīne, hello. So I will switch to English for a few minutes.
Kristīne, hello and good to have you here. We are in Lviv and here there is quite an audience. I don't know if you can see us from here. So Kristīne, I will speak in Ukrainian for the part of my presentation, and Lucy, you can speak Ukrainian as well. But when we will have the dialogue, we will switch to English and hope it's fine for the audience. There is a translation just in case. Отже, я говоритиму українською.
So I will speak Ukrainian, but when we will have a foreign speaker, we will switch to English. If you need interpretation, please take the headphones. So today with me is Lucy Zora, the British Council of Ukraine, and also Kristīne Milere, the exhibition curator of Latvian National Museum RIGA BOURSE. And we will be talking briefly about the project that we have been developing for 3 years in the Ukrainian Institute in partnership with Museums Association in the UK, Museums Association in UK, and the Museums Association in Ukraine, with the support of British Council in Ukraine to develop decolonization guide. We've talked about decolonization a lot. Now we will talk about it from the viewpoint of practical work and with our cooperation of museums. Lucy, we don't have too much time. I will give the floor to you for a brief introduction, and then I will talk more about the very project. Thank you so much, Nastya. I'm really sorry that I'm not physically with you, but I'm happy to discuss about this project for our British Council. So we were addressed by the Ukrainian Institute at the beginning when this project was in its inception stage. They could see what was the job done by the Museums Association in the UK to develop decolonization guide for the British heritage and British culture. So this is the format that they really liked, that they felt more affinity with as a basis for the Ukrainian guide. From our side, we were quite responsive for the British Council as an organization that maintains connections between the two countries. That was the most important thing. Basically, we supported partnership among different institutions, ICON in Ukraine and UK, Museums Association. So through this cooperation, we managed to develop an instrument, a tool that will be beneficial not only for the specialists at museums, but generally beyond for the specialists who work with heritage in general. I think the strongest advantage of the guide is that it's user-led. So thanks to the cooperation of foreign and Ukrainian experts from UK, the US, Africa, and so on, and even from the north of Asia, we managed to gather different approaches, different visions. And the way it is now, we understand this is just the first step. Decolonization is a kind of dialogue in the context of Ukraine and countries of Eastern Europe. This is just the first step, but we really believe that the expansion of the dialogue will be also the result of our work. I think Kristīne will talk more about her own view, but what we have been hearing during the session is that this experience is very relevant for many people, and I feel inspired to continue. Thank you, Nastya. Could you please also demonstrate my slides? I want to discuss, to talk about the project. Please stay with us. Maybe you will have some thoughts at the end. So in the Ukrainian Institute, we have been working with decolonization topics since the beginning of its launch. We had some common discussions with institutions in London. We had a topic of decolonization during Venice Biennale as a public agenda. Back then, right now, we have published also a kind of book, Decolonization Beyond the Evident. You can see the book, the collection. My colleague is showing it. It is not being sold. You can get it for free. You can register at the site of the Ukrainian Institute to get your issue. So I would highly recommend you to get it because you received a lot of positive feedback. The texts are really relevant, even though they were published right after the full-scale invasion. But decolonization is an ongoing process. It's very dynamic and changes all the time. And when it comes to communication with foreign museums in the first place, I work in the Ukrainian Institute. This is a state-funded institution dealing with cultural diplomacy. Our new mission is to talk about Ukrainian culture abroad. I'm responsible for visual arts, and it's about the cooperation with museums that have arts and Ukrainian arts in their collection. And during this communication, we understood that discussion is a great format that is efficient and relevant, but we need a document, a text that we can rely on when we talk about decolonization, so that we do not return to this talk, why are we talking about decolonization altogether? That's why we started, as Luisa mentioned, we were looking for a sample, for a model that could be efficient for us as a sample of a document. Of course, it exists that the Museum Association in the UK have already prepared such a guide. It's very short, practical, it's very laconic, but it received positive feedback. It was prepared from the viewpoint of British museums as the former colonizers, and we addressed Museum Association to asking for help, a methodological support, and we used their methodology in order to prepare a document that to some extent would rethink the methodology, but still we are not viewing it from the previous colonizer, but from the viewpoint of the colonized. And in order to talk about it in the Ukrainian context, we had to find some blind spots in the document. And could you please demonstrate, skip 2 slides of the presentation? So we announced the project 3 years ago as an attempt to develop the text handbook aimed at foreign museums, and we are developing it with the support of ICOM UK, Britain, UK, Ukraine, and thanks to the support of British Council. And Luisa discussed the motivation of the British Council to be involved in this great project. Next slide, please. So we started in 2023 working at the document. The year before, we did a research to understand what we really need. And this includes 5 partner institutions. All in all, more than 100 experts took part in this project. 20 of them were with us all the time. They are the carriers of the knowledge. And another 40 joined us at the testing stage. For us, it was important for this document not to be only understandable, but also practicable and usable. That's why we included experts from all over the world so that they would provide their feedback on the draft. We have introduced many changes since then, and Kristīne that will talk about it. She was from the very initiation of the project with us. We wanted the document to be short. We wanted people to be able to read it quickly and use it. That's why it's just 10,000 words. And this is a short presentation because we are already at the finalization stage. We have the text already prepared. It's already being prepared for publication. This is the title page. The next page was the contents. I'm not going to demonstrate the entire text because it's not available publicly as yet. Please follow the news on the site of our institute and our partners. We are going to present it jointly in a few weeks. The text will be available online, right now only in English, because we see it's a practical tool that will have to be redone, most probably, but at this point you can see that it's very practical, very result-oriented, so please follow our updates. The next slide, you have a QR code here. If you want to know when this document will become public, then please subscribe to updates and we will inform you personally and will invite you to the presentation. So I will stay here. I don't think we will have enough time for answers and question session, but I will be available a bit later. And I would also like to give the floor to Kristīne.
Are you with us?
Hi, hello, yes, I'm here.
Great, good to have you. So if you would like to give a few reflections on the scope of the project, on your participation and your key takeaways from it, please, we'll be happy to listen to you. You'll be interpreted into Ukrainian for the audience.
Hello, thank you for having me. Regarding this project, I maybe understood a bit from what Anastasiia was telling you, some words, not everything, but you probably heard from her that I participated in a workshop in Vienna last summer and going through one of the first versions of the guide. And now seeing this version, I can say that it's changed a lot since then. And the workshop in Vienna proved to me once again that we see decolonization quite differently in various regions of the world, and we have different needs as well and different perceptions of on the topic. I've been working with decolonization of knowledge and reinterpretation of histories and the cultural history and art history topics in Latvia for over 5 years already. And I see how it slowly, but step by step, it starts to take effect and develop, adjusting to the needs of the region specifically. And participating in the workshop and following the development of the guide supporting decolonization in museums focused on Ukraine made me realize how important such work and guidance is. And our region, with our region, I mean Baltic states and also Eastern Europe and Central Europe. Our region has a very complex history. And we've been under so many powers, so we still are struggling with post-Soviet heritage and all the other marks that have been left on our history and culture. And after my participation in the workshop in Vienna, we've had initial talks with the ICOM Latvia and also colleagues from Estonia and Lithuania to be more active in promoting decolonial approach in museum work. And I would say not only museum work, also in libraries, archives, and other memory institutions and culture institutions. And maybe with time, we also want to create a guide of our own, because of course we have differences in our history. And decolonization, in my opinion, is a long and changing process. And I don't think that we can set a time frame for it. And I think that what makes the new version of the guide exceptional is the case studies. And because only through seeing what works and what doesn't work, we can learn from each other, we can work together with each other, and we can adapt these case studies, we can learn from them and adapt to specific situations and move forward with reinterpreting our heritage. And I'm very happy for Ukrainian colleagues for doing this amazing work. And it's a very big step, not just for you, but I would say also for the whole Eastern Europe and Central Europe and the Baltic states. This is a very big push forward towards the change and understanding of our heritage and culture here. So thank you so much. And thank you for letting me be part of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristīne. Так, ну, власне, як говорила
Thank you, Kristīne. As she mentioned, it was important for us to involve expertise of colleagues from those countries that have a similar cultural heritage. Those countries that were part of the Soviet Union or the Russian Empire. For us, it was also important to be a force. And in our communication, we often say decolonization is a very long and complex process that has a lot of internal and external aspects. So if you want to be more open and if you want to practice decolonization in your institution, start doing it now, because it took us 3 years to achieve to get to the point where we are now. So we already understand, we all even have a citation from one of the experts of the guide that in 2 or 3 years we will have to rewrite everything because we already checked the text for relevance, because we understand that the world is very dynamic, the process change all the time. That's why for us it's not like a constanta or the response to all the questions. This is more like the initiation of the discussion with which we want to help our colleagues in foreign museums that have heritage connected with Ukraine or would like to have Ukrainian heritage in their collections, so that they will be able to talk about Ukrainian art, interpret it, and we would like to motivate them to expand their collection and include modern Ukrainian art as well. I think we have time for one question, so please, you are welcome. With Lucia and Kristīne, we will be happy to answer it. Nobody has any questions? Well, okay. Great. Then Lucia, Kristīne.
Lucy, for having for being with us. І слідкуйте за оновленням.
Please follow our updates on our site, and we will be happy to get your feedback after you see the final text. Thank you so much.